Some big hopes that are tied to the Cavs this season. So, how better should we start off this season? Go with our top 5 reasons of why you should believe in the Cavs this season. Eric, let's start with you with number 5.
Well, for the first time in quite some time, they have playmakers in the backcourt. That's multiple, which is something that we've always been needing for quite some time. The tandem of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland should provide points aplenty. Donovan Mitchell has had 33.3 points per game and 7.0 assists per game in his absence. I like to think the same would be true if the roles were reversed and Garland was able to pick up the slack for Donovan Mitchell. However, both of them being on the floor together is going to cause matchup problems for many teams across this league. This is a quick scoring offense. This is a fast scoring offense. This is a team that can put points up on the board that will give opponents problems. We have multiple good players on the team, which I'm sure we will touch on the next 4 subjects, but having 2 guys that can handle the ball and not just kind of a volume shooter, which is what we've been accustomed to in the last 5, 10, 15 years, is something that's really going to propel this team forward.
All right, Drew, let's bring the positivity here. Let them know.
Let's do it. So, the number 4 reason is MVP chance on opening night. I say that because I got this great shirt. I'm not sure if you can read the gold writing. That's opening night 2022. I was lucky enough to be in attendance for that game, and sure enough, there were MVP chants. First game of the regular season. That might be a record. MVP chance for Donovan Mitchell. Eric touched on this a little bit, but over 3 games this year, he's averaging over 33 points a game in those games, 31, 32, and 37 points he has scored. That's on over 42% shooting from 3, over 50% from the floor. If you look at the MVP from last season, he averaged 27 and 8. Now, Nikola Jokic also added 14 rebounds per game, so he's a pretty good player. I'm not going to take anything away from him, but Donovan Mitchell has been incredible in this short sample size that we have had a chance to see him. And if you think back to that team last year, he is exactly what they were missing. That's an easy thing to say. Every team, I feel like, is missing a superstar. And when you go get one, it's helpful. Don't get me wrong.
All right, let's move on to number 3. Eric, what you got?
Well, the Cavs are going to take a page out of the Rock's book and know their role, but the other teams are going to be the one that are going to shut up. So, besides the aforementioned hey, we're not going to shut up. So I'm going to tell you that much. Besides the aforementioned backcourt, the team has a lot of defined roles on this team, which is something kind of unique in a Cleveland team, I guess. I guess you could see that in the Guardians' perspective, but you got Jared Allen, who's good at defense, rebounding those easy buckets right underneath the hoop. You got Evan Mobley, who's just a flat out playmaker down low, and as of late from deep too. But I wouldn't count on that all the time. We'll see what happens. Dean Wade, he's a stat stuffer in my book. He might not get a lot of high numbers, but he's going to get a lot of numbers across the board. Rebounds, assists, blocks in his last couple of games. And then my last but not least, the spark plug is always going to be Chetty Osman, guy off the bench that's going to give you that energy and hopefully points in the coming games and weeks. You couple that with JB Bickerstaff being on I believe his 3rd season or so, you starting to see this cohesion developing in this franchise. A lot of guys that have been there for a while, kind of working together, knowing exactly what to expect from one another. And then you have guys like Donovan Mitchell that are just fitting right in. So I think the team's going to play it well off one another and excel. It's really nice to have, from what I can see, a locker room that's kind of, everybody in harmony and sync. Everybody knows what they need to do, know the task at hand, and get the job done. So, I think they're knowing their roles.
Cohesion is one of the things that I have harped on in past podcasts. Hopefully the Browns don't screw that up with these
Too late.
trying times. But all right, let's stay the course. Stay the course. Cavs here. Drew, number 2.
Yeah, the pendulum's going to swing back the other way. Things can always get a little worse, and so I don't mean to put that sort of that karma out there. I'm not expecting the Cavs to have absolutely zero injuries this year. That ship has already sailed, with Darius Garland missing several games from the eye poke of doom or the finger poke of doom, whatever it might be. But I do very much hope that the Cavs, that this pendulum swings back on the injury front, and the Cavs do have a much more healthier season. You think back to what happened last year, and it was almost a perfect storm of injuries that all sort of hit in and around the same time. Well, you think back to last year, beginning of February, the Cleveland Cavaliers were in second place in the Eastern Conference. They had a really good team last year, and that's without the guy that Eric and I have already mentioned today. But shortly thereafter, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, Karis LeVert, Darius Garland, they all missed significant time around between February and the beginning of the playoffs. And it wasn't necessarily just the starters. Around then, Ricky Rubio was out for the season. They're not on the team anymore, but Colin Sexton, he obviously didn't play much last year. Lauri Markkanen missed time, Dean Wade, Isaac Okoro. All of these guys all missed significant time, and this happened. There was all of that seemed to overlap at the same time. It wasn't necessarily true that everyone was out at once, but there were times when you didn't recognize the people out there on the floor, and it was because of all the injuries. So if this team can stay healthy, I think I know for certain they avoid the play-in game, and I think you see this team return to near the top of the Eastern Conference, especially after adding Donovan Mitchell and replacing, the guys that, if you look at that team last year, the only guy that's not going to be a part of the team this year is Lauri Markkanen. So I think it's going to be a really solid team this year because of that. And the other thing I'll mention is that just a quote I remember reading shortly after that loss to the Hawks from JB Bickerstaff. He said, "All successful teams at some point have a moment of disappointment. And that moment sort of hopefully drives individuals to become better." And he expects that loss to the Hawks to be that moment where we look at it and say, okay, this was a bit of a turning point for this team, both the players and the front office, right? They saw that team and they went out and they made the big move to go all in with this squad for the next 3 or 4 years. And I think it was an awesome move. I think it's going to really pay off, and I'm really excited to see this team. Hopefully they can stay healthy.
When things are going well, we start quoting coaches, applauding Kobe Altman. It's pretty incredible what winning will do. But let's move on to number 1. I think it might be embodying some of the football commercials that have been on overload. But these Cavs are fun. They are young people having a good time. Like
with insurance.
You look across the NBA, there's conflict on other teams. The Lakers getting old, not getting along. Russell Westbrook's shooting woes. The Warriors having, Draymond's punch of Jordan Poole. There's problems across some of these top teams. The Cavs are this shining light, of young guys, top 10 in the league as far as youngest teams. They have youth. They have excitement. There's something going on with the Cavs. And we'll see how far that's going to take them into the playoffs this year.